They say sarcasm is the last refuge of the desperate. I'm practically a sarcasm billionaire these days. That's what I was thinking as I watched my wife Rachel roll her eyes at me for the third time in 10 minutes. We were sitting at Murphy's bar with our usual Friday night crowd, playing some ridiculous relationship game that Bree had brought, the kind where couples answer questions about each other and everyone pretends it's fun instead of awkward. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My name is Ethan Voss. I'm 38, work in IT project management, and according to my wife of 15 years, I'm apparently the biggest disappointment since New Coke. Rachel made sure everyone knew it too. Ethan, your turn, said Bree, our friend who had the unique talent of making every conversation feel like a root canal. She was Rachel's closest friend, which should have been my first warning sign years ago. The question is, would you marry your spouse again if you had to do it over? I looked around the table. There was Tyler Brandt, the gym owner who'd been making increasingly obvious moves on my wife. His buddy Greg, who at least had the decency to look uncomfortable during these sessions. Sienna, who was already 3 drinks deep and giggling at everything. And Rachel, my beautiful, sharp-tongued wife, who'd been treating me like a disappointing employee for the past 2 years. Well, Rachel said, her voice dripping with that particular brand of contempt she'd perfected. This should be interesting. I opened my mouth to give some diplomatic answer, but Rachel beat me to it. Absolutely not, she announced to the table. Never again. I mean, seriously, who'd marry this loser twice? She gestured at me like I was a clearance item at Walmart. The table erupted in uncomfortable laughter. Tyler slapped his knee like it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. Bree covered her mouth in mock horror while her eyes gleamed with delight. Even Greg managed a weak chuckle, but I didn't laugh. Instead, I reached into my jacket and pulled out a manila envelope I'd been carrying for 3 days, waiting for exactly this moment. Finally, I said, sliding the envelope across the table to Rachel, something we agree on. The laughter died like someone had unplugged the jukebox. Rachel stared at the envelope like it might explode. What's this? Divorce papers, I said calmly, taking a sip of my beer. I figured since you're so sure you wouldn't marry me again, we should make it official that you won't have to. The silence that followed was beautiful. Rachel's face went through about 6 different colors, settling on a shade of red I'd never seen before. Tyler's cocky grin melted like ice cream in July. Bree's mouth hung open like a broken mailbox. You can't be serious, Rachel whispered. Dead serious. You've been dumping on me publicly for months, Rach. Figured I'd return the favor. I stood up, threw a 20 on the table, and looked around at our so-called friends. Thanks for the memories, folks. Rachel's all yours now. I walked out of Murphy's bar with more dignity than I'd felt in years, leaving behind 15 years of marriage and a table full of people who just learned what happens when you push a quiet man too far. The real fun was just getting started. 3 days later, I was packing boxes in what used to be our bedroom while Rachel alternated between tears and rage. It was like watching someone flip channels between a soap opera and a horror movie. You're really going to do this? She asked for the 100th time. Over a stupid joke? I folded another shirt and placed it carefully in the box. It wasn't a joke, Rachel. It was the truth. You've been telling me how much you regret marrying me for 2 years. I'm just making it easier for you. That's not what I meant, and you know it. Really? Because last month you told Bree that living with me was like being married to a human participation trophy. I heard you through the bathroom vent. Her face went pale. She'd forgotten about that conversation, but I hadn't. I'd been collecting these little gems for months, storing them up like a squirrel preparing for winter. You were eavesdropping? I was taking a shower in my own house. You were broadcasting your feelings about your disappointing husband to the neighborhood. My son Lucas appeared in the doorway, backpack slung over his shoulder. At 14, he'd inherited my tendency to observe everything and say little. He was also probably the only person in this house who didn't think I was a complete failure. Dad, can I stay with you sometimes? He asked quietly. Rachel spun around. Lucas, honey, your father is going through a difficult time right now. He's not thinking clearly. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years, I said, zipping up the box. And yes, Luke, you can stay with me whenever you want. I'm getting a 2-bedroom apartment. You already found a place, Rachel's voice cracked. I've been planning this for 3 months, ever since you told Tyler at his gym that you were stuck with dead weight. I picked up the box and headed for the door. Yeah, I heard about that too. Small town, big mouths. The look on her face was worth every awkward night I'd spent sleeping on the couch. I was staying temporarily at my friend Marcus's apartment downtown. Marcus Chen was my college roommate and the only person who'd never made me feel like I needed to apologize for existing. He was also brutally honest, which I desperately needed right now. "About time," he said when I showed up with my boxes. "I was starting to think you enjoyed being treated like a doormat." It wasn't that simple. It was exactly that simple. She's been treating you like garbage for years, and you kept taking it because you thought that's what good husbands do. Marcus was right, but hearing it out loud still stung. I'd spent so many years trying to be the perfect husband that I'd forgotten I was supposed to be an equal partner, not a punching bag. That night, my phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. "We need to talk. This is crazy." I typed back, "You're right. Staying married to someone who thinks I'm a loser would be crazy." She didn't respond. The next morning, I was at work when my coworker Tina knocked on my cubicle wall. Tina was one of those people who knew everyone's business before they did, but she was harmless enough. "So, I heard Rachel's been telling people you had a nervous breakdown," she said, settling into the chair across from my desk. "What?" "Yeah, she called my sister Jennifer yesterday. Jennifer works at the salon where Rachel gets her hair done. Apparently you've been acting erratic, and she's concerned for your mental health." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. She's trying to make me look crazy. Probably. But here's the thing. Jennifer's been cutting Rachel's hair for 5 years. She knows all about the Tyler situation. I looked up sharply. "What Tyler situation?" Tina grinned like a cat who'd cornered a mouse. "Oh, honey, you really don't know, do you?" That afternoon, I did something I'd never imagined myself doing. I hired a private investigator. His name was Lyle Morrison, and he looked exactly like what you'd expect from a guy who used to be a cop and now spent his time following cheating spouses around town. Chain smoker, wrinkled suit, eyes that had seen too much. "Your wife's having an affair," he said without preamble, sliding a folder across his desk. "Has been for about 6 months. Tyler Brandt owns that fancy gym on 5th Street. I stared at the photos. Rachel and Tyler having coffee. Rachel and Tyler leaving his apartment. Rachel and Tyler in his ridiculous red Mustang. "You want the details?" Lyle asked. "All of them." What I learned over the next hour made my stomach turn. Rachel hadn't just been cheating. She'd been planning to leave me for months. She'd already talked to a lawyer about getting the house and alimony. She'd been telling people I was unstable to build a case for full custody of Lucas. But the worst part? She'd been sabotaging my reputation around town, making sure everyone thought I was the problem in our marriage. The jokes, the public humiliation, the constant criticism. It was all part of her exit strategy. "There's more," Lyle said, lighting another cigarette. "Tyler's got his own problems, steroids for one. Been selling them to his clients, also been sleeping with at least 3 other married women. Your wife's just the latest." I sat back in my chair, processing everything. For 2 years, I'd thought I was losing my mind. Turns out I was just being played by an expert. "What do you want to do about it?" Lyle asked. I thought about Rachel's face when she'd called me a loser in front of everyone. I thought about Tyler's smug grin. I thought about all the friends who'd laughed along with her jokes at my expense. "I want to destroy them," I said quietly. Lyle smiled for the first time since I'd met him. "Now you're talking." The beauty of working in IT is that you understand how information flows. People think the internet is complicated, but it's really just a giant gossip network with better graphics. Tyler's gym, Brandt Fitness, had a decent online presence, 5-star reviews, professional photos, testimonials from satisfied clients. It took me exactly 3 days to change all that. I didn't do anything illegal. I just helped the truth find its way to the surface. First, I created a few anonymous social media accounts and started posting honest reviews. Nothing false, just things I'd heard from Lyle's investigation. Saw the owner selling suspicious supplements in the parking lot. Heard him talking trash about clients behind their backs. Overpriced and unprofessional. Then I got creative. Tyler had a habit of leaving his gym unlocked when he went to grab coffee in the mornings. I knew this because Lyle had been watching him for weeks, so one Tuesday morning I paid a visit. I didn't break anything, I didn't steal anything, I just rearranged things. The motivational posters got switched around so they said things like, "Give up," and "You're not good enough." The protein powder got mixed up so the vanilla was in the chocolate containers. The weight plates got rearranged in completely random order. It was petty, it was juvenile, it was absolutely perfect. Tyler spent the whole day trying to figure out what had happened while his clients got increasingly frustrated. Word spread quickly in a town this size. By afternoon, people were joking about the gym poltergeist. But that was just the warm-up. The real fun started when I intercepted the group text chain between Rachel and her friends. I'd been paying our phone bill for 15 years, which meant I had access to all our account information. It took me about 10 minutes to set up a mirror of Rachel's texts on my phone. Completely legal, since I was still technically her husband and the account holder. What I found was even worse than I'd expected. Rachel: God, Ethan was so pathetic last night. Did you see his face when I called him a loser? Bree: I almost felt bad for him. Almost. Sienna: You're so much better off without him. Tyler's hot. Rachel: Tyler says Ethan looks like the kind of guy who apologizes to automatic doors. Bree: Dead. Rachel: I can't wait to be done with this. Tyler's already talking about us getting a place together. Sienna: What about Lucas? Rachel: He'll adjust. Kids are resilient. I screenshot everything. Then I did something that probably wasn't very mature, but felt absolutely necessary. I forwarded the entire conversation to everyone in Rachel's office directory. Her boss, her coworkers, the receptionist, the cleaning lady, everyone. Within an hour, my phone was buzzing with calls from Rachel. I let them all go to voicemail. The messages got progressively more frantic. Ethan, what did you do? People are staring at me at work. What did you send them? This isn't funny anymore. Call me back. You're making a huge mistake. I finally texted her back. Just sharing your honest feelings about your husband. Isn't that what good communication is about? That evening, Tyler's red Mustang appeared in my apartment complex parking lot. He was waiting for me when I got home from work, leaning against his car like he thought he was in a movie. We need to talk, he said. Tyler was everything I wasn't. Tall, muscular, confident in that aggressive way that some women find attractive. He was also, as I'd recently learned, a complete moron. Sure, I said, walking toward my building. Talk away. He followed me, which was exactly what I wanted. You need to back off, man. This thing with Rachel is between you and her? You're right, I said, stopping suddenly. Tyler, who'd been following too close, bumped into me. It's between me and my wife, so what are you doing here? Look, I don't want any trouble. Then you probably shouldn't have been sleeping with my wife for 6 months. His face changed. The fake friendliness disappeared, replaced by something uglier. She came to me, buddy, said you weren't taking care of business at home. I smiled. Is that what she said? Yeah. Said you were boring. Said you couldn't satisfy her. Interesting, because she told Bree that you finished too fast and smell like protein powder. The look on his face was priceless. She didn't say that. Check your phone in about 5 minutes. I sent you the screenshots. I hadn't actually sent him anything, but Tyler wasn't bright enough to figure that out immediately. He fumbled for his phone while I kept walking. This isn't over, he called after me. You're absolutely right, I called back. It's just getting started. That night, I got a call from Lucas. Dad, Mom's crying again. She says you're trying to ruin her life. What do you think, buddy? There was a long pause. I think she's been mean to you for a long time, and I think Tyler's a jerk. Yeah, he is. Are you really getting divorced? I looked around my temporary apartment. Bare walls, boxes still unpacked, the smell of Marcus's leftover Chinese food hanging in the air. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Yeah, Luke, we really are. Good, he said quietly. You deserve better. Out of the mouths of babes. Rachel tried to fight back, but she'd picked the wrong battlefield. While she was busy playing victim and trying to turn people against me, I was systematically dismantling the life she'd built on lies. The divorce papers I'd served her were just the opening move. My lawyer, Janet Morrison, Lyle's ex-wife as it turned out, was a shark in a business suit who'd been handling messy divorces for 20 years. She's claiming mental cruelty, Janet told me during our meeting. Says you've been emotionally abusive and she's afraid for her safety. That's rich, coming from someone who spent 2 years telling everyone I was a disappointment. Don't worry. We have evidence of her affair, her planning to leave you, and her attempts to alienate Lucas, plus those text messages you forwarded. Her boss wasn't happy about employees discussing their personal lives in such detail during work hours. It turned out Rachel's little text chain had consequences she hadn't anticipated. Her marketing firm had a strict social media policy, and gossiping about clients and coworkers violated several clauses in her contract. She'd been written up and put on probation. But I wasn't done. Tyler's gym was hemorrhaging customers thanks to the mysterious equipment rearrangements and the growing rumors about his supplement sales. But I wanted to make sure everyone knew exactly what kind of person Rachel had chosen over her family. So I arranged a little show. Every Thursday night, Rachel and her friends had girls' night at Vintage Wine Bar downtown. They'd sit in their usual corner booth, drink overpriced wine, and dissect everyone they knew like they were performing surgery. I knew this because Lucas had mentioned it, and because I'd started paying attention to patterns. Rachel was nothing, if not predictable. The wine bar had a nice setup, big screen TV for sports, decent sound system, and most importantly, a tech-savvy owner who'd hired me to upgrade their wireless network 6 months earlier. I still had the admin passwords. On Thursday night, I sat at the bar nursing a beer and watching Rachel's table. She was in full form, gesturing dramatically while Bree and Sienna hung on every word. They were probably discussing my latest crimes against humanity. At exactly 9 o'clock, when the bar was packed and everyone was feeling social, I made my move. The TV screen flickered, then displayed something new, a slideshow of screenshots from the group text chain. Not just the ones about me, all of them. Weeks of conversations where they'd torn apart everyone they knew. Bree talking about her husband's embarrassing job. Sienna making fun of her sister's weight. Rachel describing Lucas as moody and weird like his father. The bar went dead silent as people read the messages. Then the murmur started, growing louder as people recognized names and situations. Rachel's face went white, then red, then white again. She grabbed for her purse, but it was too late. Half the town was already taking pictures of the screen with their phones. "Oh my God," I heard someone say. "That's what she really thinks about her kid?" Bree was frantically trying to get the bartender's attention, but he was staring at the screen like everyone else. Sienna had covered her face with her hands. I finished my beer, left a tip, and walked out. Behind me, I could hear Rachel's voice rising above the crowd. "This is fake. Someone's trying to frame us." But everyone had seen the phone numbers, the timestamps, the little details that proved it was real. In a town this size, there's no hiding from that kind of truth. The next morning, my phone rang. It was Marcus, and he was laughing so hard he could barely speak. "Dude, you're a legend. Jennifer from the salon called me at 6 a.m. to tell me about last night. Apparently, Rachel tried to get her hair done this morning, and 3 different people canceled their appointments rather than be in the same room with her. I may have overplayed my hand. Are you kidding? This is perfect. She spent 2 years making you look like a fool in public. Now she knows how it feels." He was right. For the first time in months, I felt like I was in control of my own life. But Rachel wasn't done fighting. That afternoon, she showed up at my office with Tyler in tow. They marched past the receptionist like they owned the place and cornered me at my desk. "You think you're so smart," Rachel hissed, loud enough for half the floor to hear, humiliating me in public like some kind of psychopath. "I didn't humiliate you," I said calmly. "I just showed people your own words. If you're humiliated, maybe you should think about what you were saying." Tyler stepped forward, trying to look intimidating. "You need to stop this crap right now." "Or what? You'll cancel my gym membership?" I stood up, and Tyler took a step back. He was bigger than me, but he was also a coward. "I know about the steroids, Tyler. I know about the married clients you've been sleeping with. I know about the tax evasion and the fake supplement sales. Want me to share that information too?" His face went pale. "You're bluffing." "Am I? Check your Yelp reviews lately?" I wasn't bluffing. Lyle had been thorough, and Tyler's business practices were shadier than a forest. It would take exactly one anonymous tip to the IRS to bring his whole operation down. "You can't prove anything," Tyler said, but his voice lacked conviction. "I don't have to prove anything. I just have to ask questions. Let other people draw their own conclusions." I sat back down and turned to my computer. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. Unlike some people, I actually earn my money honestly." They left without another word, but I could hear Rachel crying in the elevator. I should have felt bad about that. 2 years ago, I would have. But 2 years ago, I still thought my wife loved me. That evening, Lucas called with news. "Dad, Mom's been on the phone all day. She's trying to find a new job." "Really?" "Yeah, and Tyler came by earlier. They had a big fight in the driveway. The neighbors were watching." "What were they fighting about?" I couldn't hear everything, but Tyler kept saying something about not signing up for this drama, and Mom was crying and yelling about how he promised to take care of her. I felt a grim satisfaction. Rachel had burned her bridges for a man who was already looking for the exit. She'd given up her marriage, her reputation, and her job for someone who couldn't handle the first sign of real trouble. "Are you okay, buddy?" "Yeah, I'm okay. Actually, I'm kind of proud of you." "Proud of me?" "You're not letting them push you around anymore. It's like you're finally fighting back." Out of the mouths of babes, indeed. 2 weeks later, everything came to a head in the most spectacular way possible. I was working late when my phone buzzed with a text from Lucas. "Dad, something's wrong. Mom and Tyler are packing suitcases. I think they're trying to leave town." My blood ran cold. Rachel was panicking, and when Rachel panicked, she made stupid decisions, like trying to take my son out of state without permission. I called Janet immediately. "If she tries to leave with Lucas, it's kidnapping," she said. "The temporary custody order gives you equal time. She can't just disappear." "What do I do?" "Stop her. I'll call the police and let them know what's happening." I drove to my old house faster than I'd ever driven in my life. Tyler's Mustang was in the driveway, trunk open, packed with suitcases. Through the front window, I could see Rachel rushing around, throwing things into boxes. I found Lucas in his room, sitting on his bed while his mother packed his clothes. "I don't want to go," he was telling her. "I want to stay here." "We've talked about this," Rachel said without looking up. "Your father's not stable right now. It's not safe for you to be around him." "That's not true, and you know it. Lucas, you're 14. You don't understand what's happening here." "I understand that you cheated on Dad, and now you're trying to steal me away from him." Rachel spun around, her face flushed with anger. "Don't you dare talk to me like that. I'm your mother. And he's my father, a good father, which is more than I can say for Tyler." That's when Tyler appeared in the doorway. "Kid, you need to show your mother some respect." "You need to get out of my house," Lucas shot back. I'd never been prouder of my son in my life. "Nobody's going anywhere," I said from behind Tyler. Tyler jumped like he'd been shocked. Rachel dropped the shirt she was folding. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" she asked. "Stopping you from kidnapping my son?" I stepped into the room, and Tyler moved aside. He might be bigger than me, but he wasn't stupid enough to start a physical fight in front of a kid. "Lucas, go pack a bag. You're coming with me." "He's not going anywhere," Rachel said. "I'm his mother, and I'm taking him somewhere safe." "Safe from what? Me? I've never laid a hand on either of you." "You've been stalking us, harassing us, destroying our lives. I've been exposing the truth. There's a difference." Tyler stepped forward. "Look, man, this doesn't have to get ugly. Rachel's just trying to protect her kid. From his own father? The father she was planning to divorce and destroy while she ran off with you?" I looked at Rachel. "Yeah, I know about the lawyer meetings. I know about the custody strategy. I know about everything." Rachel's face crumpled. "You don't understand. I never meant for it to happen this way." "You meant for exactly this to happen. You just didn't expect me to fight back." Lucas stood up and walked to my side. "I'm going with Dad." "Lucas, please." "No, Mom. You made your choice. You chose Tyler over our family. Now I'm making mine." The look of devastation on Rachel's face almost made me feel sorry for her. Almost. But then Tyler opened his mouth. "This is ridiculous," he said. "Rachel, just grab the kid and let's go. We'll sort out the legal stuff later." That was the wrong thing to say. I stepped between Tyler and my son. "Touch him and see what happens." "You threatening me?" "I'm promising you." For a moment, we stared at each other. Tyler was bigger, younger, and stronger. But I was fighting for my child, and that made all the difference. Tyler blinked first. "This is insane," he muttered. "I didn't sign up for this drama." "Then leave," I said simply. "What?" "Leave. Walk away. Go back to your gym and your steroids and your married clients. Nobody's stopping you." Tyler looked at Rachel, then at me, then at Lucas. I could see the exact moment he realized that Rachel came with complications he didn't want to deal with. "Rachel," he said slowly, "maybe we should think about this." "Think about what?" Her voice was sharp with panic. "This whole situation, it's gotten out of hand. Maybe you should work things out with your husband." The silence that followed was deafening. "Are you breaking up with me?" Rachel whispered. Tyler ran his hand through his hair. "I just think maybe this isn't the right time for us to be together." "You're breaking up with me, right now, in front of my son and my husband." "Rachel, get out," she screamed. "Get out of my house." Tyler didn't need to be told twice. He grabbed his jacket and headed for the door. "I'll call you later when you've calmed down." "Don't bother." We heard the front door slam, then the sound of his Mustang roaring to life. Rachel collapsed onto Lucas's bed, sobbing. "I've lost everything. My job, my friends, my reputation, and now him." I should have felt triumphant. This was what I'd wanted. Rachel abandoned and alone, facing the consequences of her choices. Instead, I just felt tired. "You didn't lose everything," I said quietly. "You threw it away. There's a difference." She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. "I know you hate me." "I don't hate you, Rachel. I hate what you did to us. I hate how you made me feel worthless for 2 years. I hate that you were planning to destroy me and take my son away, but I don't hate you." "Can you ever forgive me?" I looked at my son, standing beside me with his overnight bag packed. I thought about the man I'd been 2 months ago, beaten down, apologetic, accepting scraps of affection like they were gifts. I can forgive you, I said, but I can't trust you, and I can't love you. Not anymore. Lucas and I left Rachel crying in his empty room. 3 months later, the divorce was final. Rachel got the house, but she couldn't afford the mortgage without my income and had to sell it. She found a job at a smaller marketing firm in the next town over, making about half what she used to make. Tyler never called her back. Bree and Sienna weren't speaking to her anymore. Turns out, having your private conversations broadcast to the entire town tends to damage friendships. Rachel was effectively starting over, alone. Lucas chose to live with me full-time. The judge said it was unusual for a 14-year-old to be so adamant about custody, but Lucas had been very clear about his preferences. Rachel got him every other weekend and one evening a week. I moved into a nice 2-bedroom apartment across town. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours. Lucas helped me pick out furniture and hang pictures on the walls. For the first time in years, I felt like I was building something instead of watching it crumble. Tyler's gym went out of business 2 months after our confrontation. Turns out, when people start asking questions about your business practices, it's hard to keep operating in the gray areas. He left town owing money to half his creditors. I never did report him to the IRS. I didn't need to. Sometimes the truth has a way of surfacing on its own. Marcus threw me a divorce party at Murphy's Bar, the same place where this whole thing started. Most of our old friends showed up, including Greg, who apologized for laughing at Rachel's jokes. "I always thought she was too hard on you," he said. "I should have said something. Don't worry about it. It all worked out." And it had. I wasn't the same man who'd sat at that table 3 months earlier, absorbing insults and pretending they didn't hurt. I'd learned something valuable. Respect isn't something you can earn by being perfect. It's something you have to demand by refusing to accept anything less. The best part was watching Lucas flourish. Away from his mother's constant criticism and Tyler's toxic influence, he started coming out of his shell. He joined the robotics club at school, made new friends, and even started cracking jokes at dinner. "Dad," he said one evening while we were making spaghetti, "do you ever miss being married?" I thought about it. "I miss being married to the person I thought your mother was, but that person never really existed. Are you going to date anyone? Maybe someday. Why?" He grinned. "Just make sure she's nicer to you than Mom was. You deserve someone who thinks you're awesome." "You think I'm awesome?" "Dad, you took on Mom, Tyler, and all their friends and won. Of course you're awesome." I ruffled his hair. "Thanks, buddy." 6 months after the divorce, I ran into Rachel at the grocery store. She looked tired, but not broken. We nodded politely and went about our shopping. As I was loading groceries into my car, she approached me. "Ethan, can we talk for a minute?" I closed the trunk and turned around. "Sure." I wanted to apologize. Really apologize, not just say sorry because I got caught. "Okay. I was cruel to you. For years. I made you feel small because it made me feel bigger. I cheated because I was bored with my life and too cowardly to just ask for a divorce. And I tried to turn Lucas against you because I was angry that you finally stood up for yourself." I waited. "I know you'll probably never forgive me completely, but I want you to know that I see what I did now, and I'm sorry." She looked genuinely remorseful. Not the manipulative tears she'd used during our marriage, but real regret. "I appreciate that," I said. "And for what it's worth, I hope you find someone who makes you happy, someone who brings out the best in you instead of the worst. Do you think Lucas will ever forgive me? He's your son. He loves you. But you're going to have to earn his respect back, just like you'd have to earn anyone else's." She nodded and walked away. That night, Lucas asked how the conversation went. "She apologized. I think she meant it. Good. I want her to be sorry." "Do you hate her?" He considered this seriously. "No, but I don't want to live with her. She makes everything feel heavy, like nothing's ever good enough." "I know exactly what you mean." A year later, I was promoted to senior project manager. Lucas made honor roll and started dating a girl from his robotics club. Rachel sent him a card congratulating him on his grades, and he actually smiled when he read it. We were having dinner when Lucas brought up the divorce party. "You know what I realized?" he said, twirling spaghetti around his fork. "What's that?" "That night at Murphy's Bar, when you put those papers on the table, that wasn't when you won." "When did I win?" He grinned. "You won when you decided you deserved better. Everything else was just cleanup." I looked at my son, smart, funny, confident in a way I'd never been at his age, and realized he was absolutely right. I'd spent so many years accepting less than I deserved that I'd forgotten what it felt like to expect more. Rachel's insults, her friend's laughter, Tyler's smug superiority. I'd let all of it convince me that I was lucky to have what I had, even when what I had was making me miserable. The divorce papers weren't revenge. They were liberation. "You're pretty wise for a 15-year-old, I told him. I learned from the best. That evening, after Lucas went to his room to do homework, I sat on my couch in my apartment that smelled like home instead of disappointment, and I smiled. Rachel had been wrong about one thing. I wasn't a loser. I was just a man who'd forgotten his own worth for a while. But I remembered now. And that made all the difference.